Hello there. Thanks for watching. Welcome to episode number 10 of DevSwell. Uh, because it's not always about just developing software, it's also about making sure that the things work. So that's why today we have a really special guest. He is experienced senior quality assurance engineer with a demonstrated history of working in the IT and services industry. He's skilled in a non-functional testing, test management, automation, software documentation, and test planning. He is strong engineering professional with a master in business administration. All right. So I want to welcome Eber Garcia. How are you?
How are you, Guillermo? Long time don't see you
Yeah,
around.
long time no see. It's good
Yep.
that we can see each other at least with these
Yes.
things, right?
A few chat, a few call.
Exactly. How's it going? Everything good?
Everything good. In the pandemic time, but good.
Yeah, yeah. At least we can survive. If
Yep.
we're okay during this pandemic, then things it means things are going fine.
Yeah.
Better than maybe better than many people. We are kind of fortunate. I remember I said this before. I don't remember another episode
Hmm.
that we are kind of lucky to be in this uh, in the technology world
Mm. Yeah.
because the technology world is growing and maybe the pandemic made it grow a little bit more
Yeah, it's growing
because
faster.
exactly made it grow faster. So we had to kind of see the optimistic side of things. All right.
That's correct.
All right. So I was saying at the beginning, it's not about just software developing because I've spoken with mostly software developers. It's also about making things work.
That's correct.
And you are an expert in the QA world, right? So before that, I wanna ask you how, and same thing I asked everyone, how do you get in this world of the software engineering or the IT industry?
Yes. Well, it's pretty funny. I'm a system engineer with a master's degree in business. But when I finished my career back on 2005, uh, I was thinking where I'm going to work, what I'm going to do. And the first call that I had for an interview was related to the technical support. So that was my first job in a maquila. So I work getting support to computers, stuff like that. Then I'm moving to customer support to in another company, and then finally I move into quality to another tech company. So I have the opportunity to grab this quality career in order to validate stuff and things and code. But yes, was pretty difficult to ramp her up to know how where to go because in my hometown, Hermosillo, Sonora, there is a
Mhm.
pretty small village or town where you call it, but it's difficult to find job. Currently, I'm in Guadalajara right now, but yes, it's difficult for other cities. But I think Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Ciudad de Mexico are the best for looking for a job.
All right. So how much time have you been in this city in Guadalajara?
I'm here from 2012, I think. Yes,
2012.
2012, December 2012.
And
Oh,
since then, you were in the QA world, in the quality
yes.
world.
Well, in my hometown, I was 2 years. I have around uh, 12 years or 13 years on experience on QA right now.
Oh, so you have plenty of experience in QA.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you? I mean, we're gonna go into a little bit more details, but
Hmm.
do you specialize in any specific part of the QA world? I mean, QA world is really big.
Yes, that's right. So basically, at the beginning, I start as a manual tester. There is the common path that
Mhm.
tester grabs first manual. Then I start with leading teams, and then with automation. And right now I mix it all because in all the jobs that are currently demanding, there are they want different type of skills. Manual testing, automation, and also if you have going to have some teams on your charge, you need to understand how to manage the different techniques, estimation, stuff like that.
All right. Nice, nice. So yeah, you basically end to end and do everything related to QA from manual, then automation, and whatever
Yes,
is needed to bring quality to any project, to any software. Do
that's correct.
you? I mean, have you worked in different kinds of applications in the software world? I mean, from I don't know, from web applications to maybe I don't know if mobile or maybe even the types of application or the types of
Yes.
industry.
Yes, that's correct. Well, I've been in several type of industry: healthcare, banking,
Hmm.
e-commerce,
Nice.
logistic also, and different also validation, different type of application. Some of one was pages for the front end, another ones
Okay.
for back end, and also mainframe. There is one different and
Even
stuff.
mainframe. All right.
Yes, it's difficult to test and also to automate, but sometimes you can
Mhm.
use some special techniques from UFT that is a long time ago that I used, but it's a pretty old technology also for today.
Nice, nice, interesting. So now let's go to the main topics that we want to talk about. First of all, I have the basic questions. I mean, I'm more of a software developer, the one in the other side, and you are the one that makes sure everything works fine. And there's always like a battle between developers and testers, blah blah blah. But at the end, it's everything is same. It's software engineering.
That's
We
correct.
we do we are part of the same thing. We are part of the same application, product, or project we do. So we're on the same team. We need to learn to work together. But first of all, why do we need QA? Why do we need the quality in our software projects? Or
Yes,
what do you think?
yes, it's a very important question. Imagine there is not exist quality in the world, and you go into the shop and you would like to drink a Coca-Cola, and you buy it. And when you are drinking your Coca-Cola, you are feeling a strange movement in your mouth. There is a bug.
Okay.
It's going to be horrible to you for the end user. So that is the main reason for that we are doing quality in order to deliver a product without defects or bugs in this situation. So this is the main purpose. And well, quality is very extensive, and one part of the quality is testing, and it's one of the most important that it's using right now. Different type of methodologies, different type of testing.
Nice, nice. That was a really interesting sample. Just a parenthesis. Where imagine when you drink that thing you said that you start feeling strange. I mean, I don't know if it has happened to anyone, but maybe it
Yeah,
has happened to me before.
and it happened for some person, and it's a good example with the Coca-Cola because it's black and you don't know what
Yeah,
is coming. You just drink it and
yeah,
feel it. It's
exactly. But the bugs that I feel when I drink those things, it's not because of lack of quality assurance in the product. Maybe it's the lack of quality assurance on myself. Maybe,
probably could be.
probably. Who knows?
Yeah,
Nice, nice. So yeah, I mean, imagine we didn't have any quality. How the things would be? Not. I
it's going.
mean, we Not obviously not only in the software world. We are focused here on the software engineering world, but everywhere we need quality. We need like different stages, and we need that the product delivers or does what it's supposed to do, right? And I
That's
think
correct.
that's the purpose. That's the overall purpose of quality, to deliver or serve its goal, its main goal. If you build a chair, the chair must serve its purpose. If you sit on the chair, it doesn't need to break, or it needs to. And then comes other maybe characteristics or features that it needs to be pretty, it needs to be a certain size, those kind of
Mhm.
things, right? Everything is involved in the quality, into making sure the
That's correct.
product corresponds to the expectations that there is. And there's a lot of types of there's a lot of points involved in this in
Yeah.
QA. Going now going on the QA on the QA part of the software engineering. There is a what can you tell me before going on more details
Hmm.
of the testing itself, which is a part of QA? First of
Yes.
all, I want to talk about the QA mindset. How could you describe the the QA mindset?
Yes, well, basically the QA mindset, it's not only for the QA person of the team. It's need to be
Mhm.
for all the team, for the developer, for the scrum master, for the product owner, for all the person that who will be involved on the develop. Why? Because we need to all we need to be aware of the quality. In which way? That is depend on the activities that we're going to be involved. For example, on the QA, we are going to be involved from the requirements. Then we start to analyze the requirements until we deliver the product on production. So, for example, the developer is going to be involved from the requirements, but he's going to apply a different type of QA mindset. Why? Because the developers need also to develop unit testing, and that unit testing is going to be in charge to validate some codes that are built or developed by themselves. So you need to create a method that is going to validate that piece of code. That is the simple definition of unit testing. For example, on the Scrum Master, he or he need to be aware that how he's gathering all the requirements and how it's going to make push with the product owner, with the team, and highlights the different type of validation that also you need to do, because sometimes as a QA or as a developer, we make mistakes on the validation, or we think, "Ah, okay, that is not needed," or stuff like that. So all the team need to be aware. It's not just one job for one person.
Correct, correct. I do agree. Um, we all need to have that mindset. It's should be kind of the part of the even a culture, or I don't know how to say. Uh,
Yes, yes, it's kind of part of a culture or
mhm.
a process also to understand what we need and which is the goal for the QA or the quality that we are looking for. And it's very important also for the customer, and because it's going to be the final person that is going to be using the software or the application or the hardware in other terms.
Nice, nice. So yeah, for us, for example, as developers, that's we have those unit tests that we usually do in some projects. In some projects we do more than
Yes.
another. In some projects we don't. I don't
and
know.
also and also you also have the defensive programming. That is a very cool term, that
Yeah.
you need to identify all the possible scenarios
Hmm.
that you need to tackle. For example, if you are creating a condition, you need to validate that the different situation that you're going to have with that condition if you're going to
Mhm.
be handle exception, you need also take
Exactly.
care of that is the defensive programming that all the developers need to be develop, and it's not easy. It's like a path that you need to follow and develop.
Yeah, I do agree with. It's a must now. I would say for us for all the teams, I guess, or most of
Yeah,
the teams, or at least talking about software developers, I would say it's a must these days to
yeah,
have like that mindset, or because in terms of when we're building, we need to consider everything, right? So
that's correct.
even it's already part of the patterns that we need to follow, and the best practices already consider those things, right?
Yeah,
When some dumb examples that how are you going to handle null exceptions? How are you going to handle uh, uh, make sure you're not going to end up with an infinite loop, or make sure
yeah,
that an object is not going to be empty or whatever. Those kind of simple things, right? That we always do.
yeah.
And there's also plenty. I mean, these days there's also plenty of tools in the
Hmm.
pipeline that already exist that help us with that, right? Everything is basically we're incorporating QA everywhere. For
Yeah,
example, when we do our code, then
yeah,
we commit our code and then goes to the pipeline and then compiles, blah blah blah. Normally, it goes through a process, right?
yeah,
Where you run the unit tests through unit test and make sure, okay, everything is green, means all the tests pass, blah blah blah. But there's also the code analysis that you run, and that's another part of the QA, I would say, in the
yes,
developer world, where you
yeah.
use. We used to. I remember I used to use a tool called Sonar Cube. Well, it's
Mm,
maybe it's. I don't know if it's still typical, but it was some years back. Uh, Sonar Cube and Sonar Lint, basically some plugins that you install on the IDE, and you run it, or even in live when you will typing, it will tell you, okay,
this is
uh,
wrong.
this is wrong. Okay, you have uh, you're not handling this scenario here. Make sure,
Yeah,
or even you can define the rules, right? Maybe you don't want to have functions with more than 10 lines of code or 15 lines of code or whatever, and then it's starting to tell you, okay, this function is too large, break it. Those kind of things, right? Everything is quality. Quality makes things in the long run easier, makes things to work correctly. Am I right, or am I just do you think,
you are right. You are
do
right.
you agree?
Yes. Yeah, I'm agree. Definitely, there are a lot of type of process or techniques. There also the peer review that another co-worker developer can help you to review that code, and also in the QA, also we can have another person to look on the different scenarios that we create. Could be manual or could be for automation, that will be reviewed for another person in order to see if we are coding properly and if we are considering all the scenarios and all this stuff.
Right. I agree. We we just like add extra layers of protection, I would say, for this.
Yeah,
We have the peer reviews, we have the all these unit tests and the checks on the code. And imagine, even with those things, bugs happen,
yeah.
production bugs happen, even with all those things.
Yes,
It,
a lot of the bugs that is happening in production sometimes is because the discrepancy that exists between the environments.
mhm,
As you
yeah,
know, the lower environments normally or should be mirrored like a production, but this is a fantasy in all the companies
exactly.
because
Sometimes it's not even possible.
yes, that's correct, for the privacy and for the type of data that is
Exactly.
consuming, and also the restrictions, sometimes credentials. There is a lot of variables that are involved, but yes, definitely the QA and the development team trying to approach to production one of the lower environments. But yes, it's one of the main reasons. The integration of the full application is going to, how it's going to be handled. If you have third parties, it's another story because it's going to be retrieving the information in another way that you are using in the lower environments, and then when you move to the production, is it's moving in another way, or probably some credential, another type of integration. So it's difficult.
Correct. I do agree. I think we have faced, based on what we're saying, we have faced similar scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Those things happen. So yeah, at this point, I mean, quality is something we that you cannot uh, you cannot negotiate or whatever. It's quality
Yeah.
is a must in every project. That's that's how it is, basically. So now
Yes.
moving on to a specific part of the QA, which is testing.
Hmm.
Um, simple technical or non-technical question. What types of testing do you do normally, or maybe we can say what types of testing are there or
Exist.
exist, and normally what do you do in your
Yes.
projects or in your projects that you have worked? What's the normal scenario?
Well, we start testing from the beginning. When we start to analyze the requirement, there is one type of testing, the analyzing the requirement, and it's one of the very important, because if you find a defect in that phase, you are saving a ton of dollar for the company, because no one is typing one piece of line of code for that requirement yet, and you are saving a lot of stuff. Then we can move to the unit testing that we're already talking about, that is related to the development team. Then we have the integration testing, and we have the regression testing. We have the functional testing, that is the most typical that all the person know, that is the manual testing, validation. We have sanity testing, that is very important also. We have smoke testing. We have exploratory testing. Sometimes the person understand that exploratory testing is quite easy, but not. You need to understand more the concept of exploratory testing, because you need to be an expert first on that application in order to explore correctly and the different paths and the different scenarios with different variables and stuff. I think that are the most important type of testing that we have right now and we are using. I think one of the most uses for automation is sanity testing. One of the biggest task or activity that you need to have as an automation tester when you join to a team, you need to start to identify which are the most important flows on your application. Then when you have identified those flows, you need to start to build that sanity testing. And you are questioning right now what is the sanity testing. So the sanity testing is going to be the testing that is responsible to test the most important flows of the application. It's like cover 20% of the application that impact the 80% of that application. So it's not saying that we are automate all the different flows. No, we're going to automate the most important that impact the most functionality on that application.
Nice, nice. And normally the sanity test is automated.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, what I understand is I'm gonna remember I'm more on the software developer side, so I
Mhm.
might ask stupid questions.
There are no
Uh,
stupid question.
there are just stupid people that don't ask questions.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
and so in this case, you mean that we need to have like an automated flow in the terms of testing for the important scenarios. That, for
Yes.
example, if you have an application that needs to do specific many tasks, but one of the most used tasks is task number 2 and
Mhm.
task number 4. Maybe
Yes.
those are the most used ones or the most important ones, and you have other three tasks, but maybe if you cover those two, that 80% of the users do it, maybe that you're covering the sanity test, or maybe
Yes,
in terms of or maybe also in terms of the importance
yes,
of the
it's in terms of the importance, in terms of the impact, and also in
impact.
terms of the integration. Because if imagine that you are using an email, for example, which is going to be the more important flows that you need to automate. First, the login. Then you
Mhm.
need to send an email. You need to receive an email. Then actually you can send that email to yourself, and you're covering two scenarios in that situation. Also, you need to delete an email, create a distribution list, and stuff like that. So you are impact most of the functionality with that type of validations. So basically, the sanity testing, the goal is to run it daily in order to see if the application is working properly. You can run it at the beginning of the day, and you can run it at the end of the day. But in the other hand, we have different type of testing that are also very important, as the integration testing and regression testing. You can create automate for regression suites that are heavily charged with a lot of validation. You are covering everything for the application and the most important flows with that one, but it's taking too much time to run those type of testing, because you're going to run it when you have a big release, and it's going to be have big impact on the application, and then you can use those type of automation testing. This is not properly to run it every day. You can have validations for the backend also with SubUI, with Postman, that can be implemented in Jenkins. Then it's going to be help you when you're going to be change of your code. The developers need to run this type of validation, and then you can guarantee that the code that was modified is working properly. That is another type of validation. For could be an integration, could be a regression also, that is going to be executed when the developer is making a commit.
All right. So yeah, so basically we can integrate this we can automate testing in lots of places,
Yep.
but we need to consider everything, right? Normally, this sanitation testing and all this automated testing. Normally, do we do it in all environments or?
Yes, is well, if the code has the integrity that should be to have,
Mhm.
it's easy to apply, because all the different web elements and the URLs, well, the URL is going to change for the environment, but it's going to identify the web element in each of the environments that you need to validate it. So yes,
Nice.
it's going to be just changing the credentials, the URL, and sometimes the data, but need to be consistent.
All right. And so we're talking about these automation tools.
Mhm.
Well, before going there, is it necessary to, I mean, to have automation testing in many places, or uh, when when is it? When do you think it's necessary to automate in terms of testing?
Well, that it's depend on the maturity of the project, because you cannot automate all, and you don't need to automate at the beginning of one project. Why? Because the code is not stable. So the scripts that you're going to create for that automation, it's going to need a lot of maintenance. So the most important thing for automation, you need to have a stable code first, and then you can start to automate it. Because if you start from the beginning, the developers need to have a change for the new functionality that is deployed, or the product owner need to change some functionality that it's really happening, but yes, happening in the real world,
Mhm.
and a lot of stuff. So we need to automate when the code is stable and we have the core well developed. We can start to automate it, the sanity testing that I think is the most important of my point of view.
All right, the sanity testing is so that's like a functional testing, but automated, or it's like a
Yes, could be. You can automate the front end. You can
okay.
automate the back end also.
Mhm.
You can also automate the non-functional functionality, but we are talking about different tools. That is like a load runner and
Okay.
JMeter that are over there. There are measuring the response of the server or the databases or their objects and stuff like that. There is a different type of testing. That is the performance testing.
Mhm. All right, yeah, that's another kind
Yeah.
of testing, but it's right. It's pretty much used as well, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess
Yes, it's very
everything.
important. Imagine Ticketmaster without performance testing; it's going to be a mess.
Or you can implement the virtual lines.
Yeah, that is the virtual queues. Yes, that is the reason that were implemented. But yes, it is a lot of stuff involved:
Exactly.
infrastructure, CPUs, and
There's always, I mean, that is just a parenthesis. Those virtual lines in Ticketmaster
yeah.
as a dumb sample. It's
Hmm.
like a very really good sample about like scalability
Yeah.
and in infrastructure and all that stuff.
Yeah.
How are you handle thousands of requests at the same time? You cannot, and
That's right.
basically you cannot.
It's the cheaper way.
You
Just
should
put it.
just segment them
Yeah,
and make
that's
it
correct.
kind of a way scalable in a way. That's how it works. I mean, you cannot have. It's really expensive to have so much infrastructure in a way.
Yes, very expensive.
So yeah, there are many ways to let's say scale or make it work
Yeah,
in a large if, for this kind of systems, right?
yeah.
Now, going back to automation, what kind of automation tools do we have, or you have worked with?
Well, currently we have a full variety of automation tools and a full different forums or academics that can help you to understand how to work with automation. The most popular right now is Selenium. You can use
Mhm.
it with all the type of language that it exists: C Sharp, Java, JavaScript, Python, and also we have Cypress, we have Protractor that is more related to the type of language that were built that the application. I don't remember the language, but yeah, it's more related for another type of language. We have Puppeteer also. We have Test Cafe, another one. In the HP side, we have UFT. There is a
Mhm.
very powerful tool, but it's expensive licensing, as you know, Microsoft. But yes,
Mhm.
we have a variety of a lot of tools right now, and all are free. The majority. That is the good part.
Nice, nice. Yeah, these times we have like a lot of tools in there. I mean, QA is not, and testing and automation is not the exception.
That's
So
correct.
there's plenty of tools out there that
Yeah.
we can make use to bring our projects with much more quality, to bring on more testing there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily more testing, but more quality. Yes, because
Yes.
when we're automating, we are investing maybe less time a person on testing because the tools do it.
Yes. That's right.
The people, we are in charge of making good use of the tools.
That's correct.
That's correct. So all right, this is really interesting. And I guess you have a quick sample of that you want to share about something.
Yes. Let me share my screen.
Nice. Let's see the good stuff.
Let me know when you're able to see it.
I think we can see your screen now.
Great. So basically here we have an example with
Hmm.
REST Sharp. That is
Hmm.
the package that you can find in NuGet package. Let me show the NuGet package. And this REST Sharp is related for backend testing validation. I need to, well, install all the proper node sums for the JSON, REST Sharp for the communication between the server. Well, SpecFlow is for BBD, but right now I don't have an example for that one. So basically, in this validation, we need the different libraries that we need to be import for that one. So basically, this is a pretty easy validation that is going to be communicating for a local host that I mock up right now. That is a JSON server, a fake JSON server. We have over here. If you want to download it, it's pretty easy. Just put JSON server on Google, and it's going to be the first or the second option. And you need to install with npm, and then you can
Okay.
mock up a fake service that is going to be a response for testing purpose in that case. So basically, in this piece of code, we are making a call for a get for this one. Basically, here we are creating the instance, and then we are making the request for this specific part of the post ID. This is going to be replaced for this. It's going to put one here, and then we're going to execute the response with the instance we already did here. Well, we're going to insert in this variable, and we need to execute the client that we already have here. And basically, there are several ways to do it. This one is going to be with the dictionary-based response. We need to create a JSON deserializes. This is going to be like breaking all the information and send it in a specific way. So for example, we're going to deserialize in the dictionary, and then we're going to put in a variable that's called output. And then we can identify each of part of the JSON that we have. For example, in this JSON, we have an author. So the assertion is going to validate that the name of the author is called carded KK. So basically, it's pretty straightforward, uh, basic get. Let me execute it in test exploratory. It's going to be the first one. Let me run it.
By the way, you're using C Sharp Visual Studio.
That's correct.
All right. Testing is running.
Yep,
Unit test.
it's taking some time.
Yeah, don't worry. It's typical time.
Let me see. We need to have here the response. We need to have a response here also for the server. Yeah, it's loading right now. As you
All
know,
right. There you go. Oh, there's
oh,
an error.
there is an error. That is one of it's telling there is duplicate ID here.
Okay.
So basically, there is no there is the main purpose for automation. It's going to
Hmm.
fail. We need to see why is it failing. So it's saying that invalidation string is not here. So we can validate that also. And we this is the mainly purpose for automation to see that is failing something, identify and fix it. Because sometimes a lot of person need to want the everything is working properly, stuff like that. No, let me see
All
another one
right.
that we have here. This is a post that is going to be like an insertion for this
Correct.
one.
I think that was the one that failed, no? Or because I think you tried to run all of them and one of them failed.
I
Yeah,
tried to
post
run
rule.
post with anonymous body. Yeah, I think it's the first one. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
because
you're
that's
right.
yeah. You can just right
Yeah,
click and then run just that one, and maybe that's gonna
yes,
work.
it's method one. You're
Yeah,
correct. This is the one that we run.
yeah.
Let me
Let's
run
run it.
it again and let me see it. So here the backend is responding. We have the
Hmm.
500 that is the message error that we're going
Correct.
to have a 200 at this point. We have the 200
There you
for
go.
the get. So let me illustrate it why is failing this one that is saying that is duplicated. Is duplicated the ID, and when you are trying to make a post, need to be
Hmm.
unique. Let me change it for 21. And also we want to validate that the ID is going to be
Correct.
21.
Hmm.
Let me save it.
Perfect.
Let me build the
So
solution.
previous one worked. Now we're gonna previous one passed, the test
Yeah.
passed. Now we're gonna try to make this post passed as well. Inserting
Yes.
number 21,
Yes. It's a new ID.
new ID. Yeah, because the other one
Let
already
me
exists.
let me go and run it this one. We need to get back a post with 201, I think, or 200.
Yeah, depending on 201 because there's nothing to show, just a
Yep,
success, right?
that's correct. So basically, this is the powerful situation for automation. You can have all your APIs validated, and it's very important for your team in order to have confidence of what you are developing, what you are changing. Imagine that you need to have an improvement for an endpoint that is going to be have new functionalities. So if you already have a suite or a sanity testing for that specific point, endpoint, you just need to run that suite and you're going to validate that everything is working as expected. That is the powerful enhancement of automation.
Nice, nice. This was really nice. A really quick, simple sample of doing unit testing, just
That's
to
correct.
that we understand how it works and how it's part of the automated process. I mean that
Hmm.
normally that part the developers we do it, or we should do it at least, and it depends also on the numbers that the team puts together because there is a something called the code coverage
Hmm.
when we're talking about unit testing,
That's correct.
and it's almost impossible. Well, not impossible, but it's almost not. It's not common to have like the 100% coverage. I'm not sure on your experience.
Yes, it's impossible to have it,
Yeah, it's
and you try to reach that 100%, but not. It's impossible to have it.
yeah. Sometimes you depending on project, you put a number like maybe 80% or whatever, right? But you put a number just to make sure
That's
that
correct.
your code is covered. I mean, it's
Hmm.
redundant, but that's the purpose of the code coverage. That all the pieces of code that you wrote are somewhat passed through the unit testing. So you're making sure that all the lines of code in a specific project
Hmm.
are covered through the testing that or are supposed to do what they are supposed to do. All the
Yep,
scenarios,
that's
everything,
correct.
all the ifs, the true if statement covers, then the false it should be covered, everything, right?
Yep,
And
and
sometimes you can exclude parts. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and also don't forget that the automation part is a full also methodology process For example, in this piece of code that I show you, it's pretty basic, but you
Mhm.
also can have pattern designs
Mhm.
that could be POM. In that, a lot of the cases that we use it, that is the page object model, that you need to move all your
Mhm.
code between those. For example, folders or pages. For example, if you're going to identify your objects, need to be in one uh, class that is related. For the login, for example, you're going to identify all the web elements related for that pages, and then you can use inheritance also in order not to duplicate the code, not to duplicate the way that you are using the web driver that you're calling in order to have interaction with your browser and all this stuff. So there is a full methodology and full way to do the correctly things on automation as exist on development also. As you know, you can also create libraries in order to validate the serialization for each JSON, and then you can just send what you want to validate, and with that method you're going to validate a specific get and a specific pods and a specific put or a delete, and it's going to be pretty simple because you only need to put a line of code to validate something bigger. So that is the impact to make it things reusable on the code side.
Nice, nice. Reusable stuff. Everywhere we use
Yep.
it. QA in the QA world, in the development world,
Yeah,
modules,
that's correct.
reusable things, reusable stuff. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Perfect, perfect, Ever. What advice, going to a more general thing, what advice would you give the anyone who's entering this software world, or who wants to, or is entering the QA world in the software area? What advice would you give?
And the first advice that I give to one person that it's finalized his career and is going to the enterprise world is open your LinkedIn first. That is the powerful tool that we have right now, and you can start to look it for the jobs that you would like to apply, and then you can see the requirements and all the different technologies that are demanding. And if you don't have anything for that one that are requirement, you can start learning. You can approach with a college, or you can approach with something with more experience, with a senior that can help you to guide you where to go, because it's a jungle over there. And I remember when I was more young, back 2005, when I finished my career, it's like what I'm going to do right now. It's pretty difficult answer question to answer. So yeah, I think that is the first step. Open your LinkedIn and see what is the market, what is demanding.
Nice, nice. I agree on that. And speaking of LinkedIn, we will leave your details.
Yeah,
Uh, we will leave your details in case someone wants to contact Ever with any questions related to QA or related to about anything.
sure.
They can contact you, right?
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I'm open to help
But
people.
yeah, excellent, excellent. And I am happy that you were here in this episode, and I really, really appreciated this conversation. It was really cool to talk about the QE mindset and everything related to quality in the software area. It's something that is it's a must, obviously these days. It's applied everywhere. Sometimes you don't even know that it's applied because of so many tools that we have that you already talk about. But it is that's the way it is.
Yeah. No, thanks to you, Guillermo, for the opportunity, for your audience. Uh, it's a very great word, equality, to be involved, and a lot of person have probably the wrong perception, but it's very powerful. It's very demanding right now. There is a lot of jobs that are not possible to cover, and more of the automation side, because it's like an hybrid. You need to be understand the code, coding, and create your framework, create your suites, report the results. That is one of the part very cool for that one. Create a report at the you run your suite, and then you have the report at the end.
Nice, nice. Excellent, excellent, Ever. Thanks a lot. You already heard, Ever. Uh, Start any new guys. Start obviously your social networks with LinkedIn. Start learning new stuff. Get on the internet. Look for the new technologies out there in the QA world and start learning them. And
Yep,
then we will have. There's plenty of opportunities at this time, at this moment. So it's a really interesting world.
yep, that's correct.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ever. Again, I really appreciate your time. It was a really great conversation. And
Thank you.
thanks to everyone who watched until here or who watched this part. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care.